I received an email from a subscriber here on YouTube by the name of Chris, who was frustrated because her athletic progress was starting to stagnate quite quickly. She couldn't understand what in the world is going on, so I wanted to share with you my conversation with her. When we're looking at making some kind of incremental improvement in general health as well as athletic performance, I want you to close your eyes and think about 4 specific columns of success. Now open your eyes. Look at the screen that you have right before you right now. If I can get you to either take a screenshot of this or grab a piece of paper or just simply commit it to memory, most athletic performance, most general health and wellness is going to crumble if one or more of these columns falls apart. So if you look at this literally from left to right, I want you to think about preparation. Depending on when you're watching this video, are you prepared for your workout that's coming up? Are you ready for a day at the office tomorrow? Are you ready for a day at the soccer field with your children? When you're looking at preparation, look at the 4 big bullet points. Are you fed? Are you rested? Are you hydrated? And are you focused? And I want you to see the parallels, whether it's general fitness or whether it's athletic performance. All 4 of those need to be sufficiently addressed. And you'll notice that I have them in a sequence on purpose. Notice that being fed always precedes becoming rested. I've talked about this in previous videos. Your quality of sleep is directly related to your ability to satisfy hunger through protein and fat. So if you've got a workout tomorrow morning, understand that your preparation for tomorrow's workout starts the night before. If you have a workout later in the day, like I said, if you're on your way to your children's soccer game a little bit later or practice, you need to make sure that you're prepared, right? Are you the mom and dad? Are you the young athlete? Are you coming into that soccer practice fed, rested, hydrated? Because then you'll notice we get into the mental aspects of focused. 99% of the inability associated to focus is directly related to low blood sugar levels. So if you're an athlete trying to improve your skills and drills, if you have low blood sugar, your skills and drills will always be negatively impacted. If we come over to the second side about fitness, now this is always a very interesting vertical because when we're looking at this vertical, obviously we're talking about sport-specific fitness, you've got to look at everything about strength and flexibility. You have to look at your ratios of strength to aerobic capacity. You have to look at your aerobic capacity against your lactate tolerance. Each and every one of your sports requires all of those energy systems. Aerobic engine and aerobic threshold. You've got to be complemented with strength and flexibility. Now you could throw around and interchange, figuratively speaking, anaerobic threshold, lactate tolerance. Call that your top end sprint speed. Every sport is going to have a mixture and a need for maybe a little more anaerobic threshold, top end sprint speed, and maybe a little less endurance, i.e. a 100-meter sprinter. Then you have somebody like a triathlete that's going to be a mixture of those, especially when you're dealing with an Olympic distance. Those that ride moto, you have a unique combination because you've got to open up very quickly and you've got to be able to sustain it for the duration of the race, especially for those that ride off-road 3+ hours. So when we're looking at fitness, we have to make sure that you've taken the demands of that individual sport, you've taken them apart, and you've made sure that all of those boxes are checked off. Now when we come to this third one, right, we've got to look at you're prepared, we've got to make sure that you're fit. The third one is strategic. Let's just say you're going to a practice session. We're assuming the first 2 verticals are checked off. What is your strategy for today's practice? If you're there, let's say you're working what we call a ball and stick sport, something that involves being on a field, being on a court. What are 2 or 3 things that you're going to focus on for that given day? What is your strategy? Sometimes we get duped into, all right, you may not be the best player on the team. Well, you're doing what the best player on the team is going to do that day. If you're on a cross-country team, the coach is having you do what the best runner on the team is. That may not fit for what you need. So my question to you is, what is your strategy? What is your focus? If we're going racing, what is your strategy? If you race motocross and you've got 6 motos in a day, you don't want to be that athlete that starts with a bang and ends with a fizzle. You got to find that strategic approach to help you navigate the landscape so that you are the #1 rider at the end of the day per class. If you're doing a triathlon, you may not be the best swimmer, the best cyclist, or the best runner, but what is your strategy to get to the front by the end of the race? If you're running a 5 or a 10K road race, what is your strategy to get to the finish line first? Are you going to negative split it? You're going to even tempo it? You got to have a strategy. Then we come to the fourth vertical, and that's going to be recovery. Now, recovery to me, as you can see by this illustration, has a multitude of elements. If you've got multiple races and or training sessions in a day, you've got to recover from session to session. That's why I denote it as hour to hour. If you're training 5-6 days a week, you got to be able to do that day to day. If you're on a 6-week training block like most of my clients are, you got to manage training block to training block over a 6-week block. If you're really paying attention to periodization, you've got to make sure that each sequential training phase from preseason to pre-competitive to competitive, and then you move into the off-season, that's very well spelled out, but that you are validating through non-emotional biofeedback indicators that your fitness, your strength, all the necessary elements of performance are getting better. There's no reason to move on. Please pay attention to this concept. It's so important that you not move into the next phase just because it's on the calendar until you've validated that you've gotten that incremental improvement you were looking for. If you rush into the next phase of training and you don't have the foundation preceding it, you're on a fast track to a regression in a very quick period of time. So stop and think about this, whether it's general fitness or whether it's high-end performance. One in all of these pillars directly influence your capabilities to get better, to get to the top, and then to stay there. I have a mantra with all of our clients: the person who wins on race day isn't always the fastest, but the person that minimizes mistakes. And I'm hoping that you'll commit this illustration and this concept, commit it to memory, because as soon as you can find where your biggest opportunities for improvement and you minimize those mistakes, you're going to be better and you're going to be able to sustain your success for an indefinite period of time. I appreciate your patience here today. I know this video is a little bit longer than usual, but the 4 pillars of success are something that I enjoy speaking with all my clients on an ongoing basis, because as you develop as an athlete, these 4 pillars take on a completely different flavor, a completely different look. So again, I want to thank you for your time here today. If you happen to have a question, anything that I can do a deep dive on, please feel free to send it to me directly. contact@coachrob.com. We're going to be answering a question every day here on YouTube, so please like and subscribe. I hope to see you again tomorrow, and I want to thank you for your time today.